Hey Alchemist, welcome to the last full moon of the lunar year. The January 2025 full moon is the last full moon of the lunar year, which signifies big releases and big reset points. The full moon happens on January 13th on Moon Day, Monday. However, all full moons, they will peak the day of full moon, 3 days before and 3 days after that full moon peak. So remember that you can always work with this energy for a few days. In this video, I'm going to cover the messages from the Dragon Collective because this is the last full moon in the year of the dragon. They are going to share some messages with us to help us with the big releases. And then I'm going to move into exploring the 3 themes of the January 2025 full moon. Then we'll explore the astrology of this Gemini and Cancer full moon in January. And we'll end with 3 rituals and practices that you can do with this January full moon. Hey, welcome. If you're new here, my name is IamSolTara. I'm a medium and I share alchemy practices from Atlantis and from ancient Egypt. If that resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe. The Lunar New Year begins on January 29th with the new moon. So this January full moon is the last full moon of the year of the dragon. The dragons are here to support us with this big release and this big reset point. When I asked the Dragon Collective, what is the most important thing for us to focus on for this January full moon in 2025, they said forgiveness. And when I asked them, what do you mean by that? Because it kind of threw me off. They were saying that we are going to be called to step up into our power more in 2025. If you're not familiar, dragons within Chinese metaphysics, they represent strength, power, prosperity, transformation, and protection. Dragons are the very first creatures that were ever created in the universe. You can think about their energy like that of archangels. They are huge oversouls, incredibly wise. They're very powerful. I mean, they do give birth to planets. So you can think about how powerful a being has to be to create planets. And they also have a very pure frequency. And so when I was asking them about forgiveness, they were saying that many of us, we have chosen difficult life lessons, difficult soul lessons in this incarnation, because right now we're starting the golden age of Aquarius. We're starting the new earth timeline. So these are huge historical times, not just in human history, but also in planetary history, because the earth herself is evolving right now. And I'm sure you can feel it. It's obvious. We can see what's happening. I'm recording this on January 8th, and we just had the huge LA fires. So there's a lot of shifts happening with the earth. And this is part of all of the other shifts happening with this transition into the new earth, into the golden age of Aquarius. Sometimes the purge has to happen. And so the dragons are saying that we need to forgive ourselves for choosing these difficult soul lessons. I don't know about you, but 2024 really tested my emotional strength. I had my cousin, he passed away, and I had so many different other family challenges, relationship challenges, and it really shook me, but it really helped me to create that stability inside of myself. And so what the dragons are asking us to do is they're asking us to forgive ourselves for choosing certain lessons and release the intensity, the grief, the sadness that may have come with that, so that we can walk our path lighter towards this new horizon that we're entering. Not just the year of the wood snake, since we're starting the new lunar year, not just starting the new year 2025, but also starting to walk the path of the new earth, of the golden age of Aquarius, which you and me are here to birth together. And so that is what's going to help us to walk our path lighter in 2025, despite the chaos that's going to be unfolding and the purging that we're going to see manifest at the collective levels. The dragons also shared that under this full moon, it's important for you to release the confusion and distractions around what was your soul's original plan, before you chose to reincarnate into this physical experience. So at a soul level, you and me, we all chose a soul contract. We chose our families, the city that we would be born in, the country that we would be born in, the time, the day, all of this, because we wanted to learn a whole set of lessons, and we also came here with a purpose. So at a deep soul level, you know this purpose. When we reincarnate, a reset button is hit and we forget everything at the mind level. At the soul level, here, this is where you're going to find your soul's purpose. You already know what it is, but you have to remove the distortions of the material plane, the confusion, the distractions of the material plane. Remember, we are physical beings in the material world, but we are not of the material world. Your soul is always going to be there. This body, we're just kind of borrowing this body for 80 years, 90 years if we're lucky, but your soul is so old. And so under this January full moon, take time to work with the moon's bright light to release the distortions, the distractions, and the confusion around your soul's purpose. Because humanity is going to need you to step up and to walk your soul's purpose in 2025. Your family, your loved ones, they're going to need you this year. And remember, dragons represent strength and power. So it just takes one step at a time. You have to be courageous and strong to walk on your soul's path, which is going to look different than what we see as the traditional path that humans take, because you are not here to be a traditional normal human. You're here to be a pioneer, to birth a new consciousness on this planet, which requires a lot of strength and a lot of power, but not power from the external world, internal power. And so the more that you remember this, the more of your power you will be able to claim back. And that's exactly what dragons represent. They represent that raw, pure power. For this last full moon of the Lunar New Year, we are connecting with the Dragon Collective. We are going to do an alchemy ritual to release and clear any distortions we may be holding on to in our energy field. Then we're going to do an invocation to call our energy back across space and time with these beautiful dragons. And my favorite part is that you get to connect directly with the dragons to ask them questions. So if you want to join us for this powerful full moon ritual and meditation, you can sign up in the description of this video. And we host these every month with a different spirit guide, a different goddess, a different angel, a different ascended master every month. Across Asian countries, you will see dragons always depicted in the royal palaces. That's because dragons were connected to authority. The emperor was seen as given authority of the power of the dragon. And right now, what is happening in humanity is we are all awakening to this truth, the truth that we all have divine free will. The illusionary of the matrix that we live in, the government, the social structures, the religion structures, they tell us that some man in the sky has power over us, or some legislators have power over us. But this is an illusion. Again, you have to remember that your role here is to unlearn everything that we've been programmed and return back to the truth. And the truth is that you're a divine free being, and you have to call back this divine free will from the illusions that makes you think otherwise. The last message the dragon shared was around prosperity. So the dragons, they also represent prosperity. I mean, they're able to birth planets, so they can create anything. If you can create a planet, something so huge and massive, then you can create anything basically. And so with this message, think about what type of prosperity you want to create in 2025. For all of us, prosperity looks differently. Not everyone wants multiple millions of dollars. Not everyone wants a mansion. Some of us, we just want a big plot of land, or we want a small house in the woods. And a lot of the times we overestimate how much we think we actually need to make that dream a reality. So Consider under this full moon to really reflect on what type of prosperity do you want, but remember to bring it into a grounded space and think about, okay, if I want this, this is what prosperity looks like to me. How can I actually make that happen? How much do I actually need to make this dream a reality? Because what I've noticed in my experience is that it's a lot less than what people imagine in their minds. This is a message for 2025, not this full moon, but the dragons, they were the very first beings that were ever created. They have seen the rise and fall of empires on Earth, the rise and fall of empires in the galactic civilizations. They've been around here for hundreds of millions of years. So they've seen the birth and death of stars and planets and even solar systems. So they mentioned that 2025 is going to be filled with a lot of change and transformation, and it's important for us to detach ourselves from that. And I asked them how did they do that themselves, because it must have been really sad for them to see the planets that they created be destroyed, but they said that they've already seen it happen for so long that they understood that it was a natural part of the process. The message for us for 2025 from the Dragon Collective is, we are here to support you. You are supported whether you see us in the clouds, in nature, or in dreams. We've always been here and will continue to be here supporting your evolution. So even though right now you may feel like life is still a little bit rocky, you're in this unsure space, know that your dragon guide has your back. And it's so fascinating because in Japan, in late 2024, they captured this image of smoke emerging from a volcano there. And they also captured this in Mexico. The dragon consciousness is returning to Earth. If you want to connect with the dragon energy, the dragon power and wisdom deeper, I invite you to join us for our full moon ritual meditation in January. You can sign up for that ritual meditation in the description of this video. The 3 themes of this January full moon are reset, awareness, and entanglement. For the entanglement piece, observe what projects, what relationships, what belief systems do you keep getting sucked into? Like you're going, yes, that makes sense. No, that doesn't make sense. Yes, that makes sense. That doesn't make sense. Because that is keeping you stuck. So during this full moon, observe what are you giving your energy into that is actually keeping you stuck and it's draining you. So the way that I come up with these energy and astrology updates is I first sit with the information and I just ask my spirit guides what's the most important things for us to focus on for this full moon. So after I did that, then I went to look at the astrology, and what's so fascinating is that in Vedic sidereal astrology, this full moon happens at 30 degrees of Gemini, and just 1 hour after the full moon moves into Cancer, just in 1 hour. So the moon is bouncing in between signs. The sun also is going to shift 6 hours after this full moon between signs. So we have the sun and the moon shifting signs, again showing that pattern of going in and out. So under this full moon, don't make big decisions, but instead sit with the energy and really remove distractions and choose what you're going to prioritize and feed your energy into. One of the things that I'm currently sitting with is moving across the world. I'm not making that decision right now because I know this is not a good time to make it. And that is because the theme for this full moon number 2 is reset. We are in a reset point right now between this January 13th full moon and the January 29th new moon, which is the start of Lunar New Year. So this in-between point is when things are going to be closing out. Let the dust settle before making big decisions for your 2025. This reset theme also hits on the fact that just 2 days before this full moon in January, we have the lunar nodes shifting into Pisces and Virgo. This happens every 18 months or so, and this signifies the start of a new eclipse cycle. So this is fascinating because this lunar nodes shifting, it is happening on the 111 portal, the January 11 portal of new beginnings. So this is a big new beginning because the lunar nodes, they represent the collective destiny, and at an individual level, it represents our fate, our destiny. So remember that you have to be very focused on what your destiny is, and you have to be aware of the fact that even though the astrology, the stars, the planets are aligned in a certain way, you always have the free will whether to follow your path of destiny or choose to ignore it. This leads us to the third theme, awareness. Under this full moon influence, you will notice things falling out of your life. For some of you, you'll notice things falling into your life. It's important to observe all of this without attachments, because you have to let go of what's no longer serving you. Even though at an ego level we want to hold on to it, remember to observe what's being released without any attachments. Now let's explore the astrology of this full moon in January. In tropical Western astrology, this full moon is in Cancer, and the moon loves to be in Cancer. It feels very comfortable in its home sign of Cancer. So, with the more expanded aspect of Cancer, it's nurturing, it's intuitive, it's deep. The more contracted aspect of Cancer is insecure, it's very attached. It can be sometimes too focused and forceful about keeping things as they are. So remember to work with the more expanded aspect of Cancer. Something that will help you to connect with this more expansive aspect is noticing the fact and preparing yourself for the fact that you will be more vulnerable, more sensitive around the full moon. So maybe switch your appointments out. Don't meet certain people that will trigger you then. Don't do too much activity that will trigger you. Focus on the things that will nourish you. The other wonderful thing about Cancer is that it sees below the surface. Think about water. At the top level, you can see certain things, but if you were to go scuba diving, if you look in the depths, you'll see a whole nother world underneath the ocean. You'll see different corals and different types of fish and so many different species. So Cancer likes to see below the surface. So this is a good time for you to get to the root cause of certain things that you've been noticing showing up for you recently. In Vedic sidereal astrology, this full moon happens in Gemini. And again, remember that it's at the 30 degrees of Gemini, and just 1 hour after the full moon, it moves into Cancer. So Gemini is very fast moving. This full moon may cause you to act fast. Remember, don't be impulsive, and take the time to breathe deeply so it can slow down your mind and slow down your decision making. And this touches on the entanglement theme for this full moon in January, that you need to really prioritize what relationships, what projects, what are the goals and priorities that you want to focus on, because Geminis, they tend to put a lot of things on their plate. They get really excited and they're interested in so many things, but that doesn't allow them to go deep into completing those projects. So this is a time for you to really prioritize where you want to invest your energy into. 2025 is going to be the fastest year that we've ever seen in planet Earth. That's because of the AI revolution and how AI is speeding everything up in terms of innovation, how it's being used not just in technology, but in different sectors of society. It's also because the wars are going to be escalating across the world in 2025, and because of the cosmic cycles that are starting and ending right now. So for those three reasons, January and beyond, 2025 to 2027 are going to be extremely accelerated years. So really sit with this full moon to identify where you want to invest your focus into. I cannot stress this enough. These are the 3 practices and rituals you can do for the full moon in January. I was reminded of this ritual because I'm going to Bolivia next week. In Bolivia, there's a island of the moon, and there's a temple of the moon on this island. This is in Lake Titicaca, which is known as the sacral chakra of the earth. It's known as the womb of the earth. So just like you have chakras, Mother Earth has chakras. So when I was sitting in the womb of the earth at Lake Titicaca in the temple of the moon, it was a full moon, and I was asking for a ritual, if she can share a ritual with me, and she showed me this thing of where I can bathe myself with the moonlight. So this is something you can do, not just with a full moon bath in the bathroom with water, but you can bathe yourself with moonlight, visualizing the moonlight pouring all over you, releasing anything that is out of alignment with your path moving forward. And this is a great release you can do. You can do this for your energy bodies, for your astral body, for your emotional body, mental body, physical body. And you can do this by going outside and doing this in the moon, just like pouring it over you. You can do it while sitting in meditation, putting a pillow or a towel underneath your butt so your spine is perfectly stacked, because that's very important when doing this practice. And you can close your eyes and visualize the moon's light bathing you and clearing all energy that is out of alignment with your highest good moving forward. So this is the first ritual. The second ritual or practice you can do is detoxing. We are getting ready to enter the Lunar Year, the year of the wood snake. And also in the northern hemisphere, we are in winter. What are the leaves doing? They're detoxing, shedding their old leaves. What are the animals doing? The animals are resting, recharging. They're not really out hunting, and they are not really focused on eating a lot. So when we eat, a lot of the energy has to be sent into our stomach, into our organs to digest the food. There's so many different types of detoxing. One of them you can consider under this full moon is fasting. Not everyone can fast 3 days. Maybe try fasting 1 day. Obviously, check with your holistic doctor to do this safely. If you can't fast for 1 whole day, then try fasting for 16 hours. I saw on the news recently that I believe it was a Japanese researcher won the Nobel Prize because he proved with the science how fasting actually reverses the aging process, and it helps to kill cancer cells. So not only does fasting have incredible health benefits, but in my experience, when I fasted for 2 to 3 days, my messages are so clear. They come down very quickly, and that's just because when your vessel, this channel that we all hold, when this is clear and it's not busy processing food and stuff, all of that information can be filtered in much more smoothly. So consider doing a detoxing either via a fast, or just if you can't do a fast, listen to your body. It's very important that you do everything safely. Then instead, on full moon day, the day before full moon, don't eat meat, avoid overly processed food, basically anything you can microwave to cook, and don't eat sugar. So this will help you to connect with the Cancer intuitive energy. This full moon is in Cancer, so remember, your intuition is going to be extremely heightened, and detoxing will help you to take advantage of this sharpened intuition. The last thing that you can do is start a full moon journal. This is something simple but can really be powerful in helping you to track your progress throughout 2025 and help you to identify any karmic patterns and loops that you're still working through. So this can be something as simple as every full moon you write January and you write a bullet points of the things that came up for you and the things that you released under that moon. And you would do that for February, March, etc. This is going to be important this year because 2025 is going to be the fastest year humanity has ever experienced on Earth. You can lose track of all the progress you've made, of all the things that have been happening. Because remember, even though you're here in this third dimension, releasing things consciously, your soul and your higher self are releasing things in the dream world, in the astral plane, in the etheric planes. So this is a great practice to help you to track any karmic loops as well, because you'll notice patterns. This will be incredibly helpful in March and in the fall around October, September, when we have the eclipses, because eclipses bring out the karma. Happy Lunar New Year if you celebrate, and I hope to see you at our Dragon Collective Full Moon Ritual and Meditation. You can sign up for that in the description of the video. And I am wishing you a smooth start to your Lunar New Year, the year of the snake, a big year of shedding our skin. And let me know, how does this January full moon feel for you? What themes are showing up for you in the comments? I read all the comments, and thank you for your likes, your shares, your subscribes, and happy full moon, alchemists.